Happy New Year, Mr. Milbury.
Well, same to you guys. Where you been hiding?
Went on a little trip to Costa Rica. I don't know if you've ever been there or not.
No, I haven't.
And then really did nothing, which I kind of like. But I'm delighted to be back. How were your holidays? Everything good? You see the family and the grandkids and all that?
Yeah. I got to see my one of my grandsons play a basketball game. It was a thriller. They won 30-29. Amazing. And then the same day, I saw a little my Mikey from Weston, Connecticut played in a hockey game, scored a couple of goals, and looked really good. So it was fun. And then we went to New York City, where we ate ourselves through Christmas.
I can only imagine you watching, grandson play hockey, and are you a vocal grandfather?
No, I'm not vocal during the game, but we had a chat afterwards.
Yeah, I bet you did.
We did. I gave him the pluses and minuses. There's no screaming or yelling, but there's some things he's got to work on if he wants to go to the next level. Yeah.
He's got to get that left-handed dribble going. I mean, that's
his turns, his stopping needs to be improved if he wants to separate from the opposition, but no question he tries like a son of a gun.
I know the officials get nervous if you take your shoe off during the AAU game. They get very nervous about that.
Yeah, they do. But I just had an anniversary. It's like 45 years ago when I hit somebody with a shoe. It's hard to believe.
Speaking of family, I was told recently that your son and I share the same barber.
Really?
Yes, in South Boston.
Huh.
Yeah.
That would be Jake or JP. I don't know which one.
Yeah.
But I probably Jake, because I don't think JP likes to spend money on a haircut.
Yeah, it's an expensive spot, I'll tell you that.
Is the shine wearing off the Winter Classic, or is it just it depends on the quality of the teams that are playing?
Certainly, the quality of teams is going to help it out, but it's it doesn't really. I didn't even look at it this year, to be honest with you. So I guess for me, the shine is left it a little bit, but. Yeah. It's tough to televise it. It's tough to get a good angle. If you're in the house, it's a lousy event to watch live. Most of the time, you're looking at the scoreboard to see what's going on the ice. But it's it's kind of a thrill. But these days, when you go to an event, you never know what kind of a thrill you're going to get, I guess.
Mike, there continues to be question marks around Pasta. He, game after game, seems to have the most shots on goal for the Bruins, but they're just not going in. What has been the issue there?
You know what? He's as long as he continues to get chances, I think he'll wind up getting on a hot streak. I mean, Marchand had been on a real roll, and those two guys are carrying a lot of the weight of this team. And let's face it, the identity that they're now starting to form under Sacco is fewer shots allowed. They had 10 wins in December, which is almost as much as they had in the previous 2 months together. And their checking game is better. And if your checking game is better, your skating is better. And if your skating is better, you're probably moving the puck a little bit more efficiently, which I've seen. But their personnel dictates that they have to play defensively, and a lot of pressure offensively goes on to Marchand and to Pastrnak, but there's not enough firepower for run and gun. And if you look at the guys beyond Marchand and Pastrnak, Lindholm's not, and Zacha, they don't cut the mustard on the top six for me. I mean, Lindholm scored his points when he was playing with Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk, but he doesn't have those guys right now. But he does have one quality player on the wing, but they just don't have it, and you can see that. You can see when you watch the Washington game, they had 13 quality chances. That was the count. And they only scored one goal, and that one goal was scored off a dump, and when it hit a stanchion and came out front on a weird bounce, and Brazeau just was able to tap it in. But 27 shots blocked, that tells a story. When you get that many shots blocked, you give Washington credit for getting in the way. But Peter McNabb, my old buddy, God rest his soul, used to say, you have to see the holes. You don't see the goalies or the checker in front of you. You have to find the holes. And they don't seem to have the ability to do that. So I think they've done a good job under Sacco, won a bunch more games, and they've kind of established an identity that works to their personnel, and they're going to have to live with that. Does that make them a bona fide cup contender? I don't think so, but it makes them a better team than they were in October and November.
And in your mind, what is that when you look at that month they put together in December minus Jim Montgomery with Joe Sacco?
Well, it was kind of Montgomery was kind of run and gun and possess the puck and get quality chances, and now they've turned it into we don't want to give up quality chances, and we'll take our we'll take a quantity of shots and crash the net. And defense first seems to be the order of the day, and I think it needs to be order of the day. I'm happy with Swayman coming around. He's played much better, I think, much more solidly than he did at the beginning of the year. Got through some early season hiccups. Korpisalo, for the most part, has been fine, but they lean on the goaltenders. They'll get Lindholm back, and as much as I think he's more flawed than he should be or is worth his paycheck, but he's still a pretty good player, and that'll help. But defense first and get your chances. The one thing they have to figure out is the power play. They have enough to be better than their dismal record so far. I mean, it looks like they're trying to do some things. Lowry was on the first unit instead of McAvoy. They have guys that can move along the blue line, and usually that's a good sign. When you see movement along the blue line by the defensemen, they change the angles, can get pucks to the net, and you get dirty goals in that regard. So they got to keep working on it. They got to keep it simple. They got to keep themselves moving, and it's got to have more productivity if they want to move up in the standings. And they can move up in the standings. They're only 4 points behind Florida. I mean, that's remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you have a Rangers team on deck now that's in a real slump. So what do you do if you're Joe Sacco going into this game, and what can you take away from it?
The start from this game is very important. When you're the Rangers, and this is a team that people had them, and I was among them, had them ranked in the upper echelon of teams in the league this year, and they've just they can't get out of their own way. I mean, they're benching a guy like Chris Kreider, who was people thought his jersey was going to be retired in New York, but it's head scratching. And now Shesterkin is out with I don't know what the injury is, but apparently they just put him on injured reserve. So get the good start, get a team that's not feeling confident about itself, put them on their heels, and I think that's the way to approach this game. Good quick start with lots of pressure, and see how they emotionally handle it. And in New York, if they get down again here, I mean, that crowd will be nasty.
Mike, you talked about the Bruins finally having an identity. I think that, to me, was one of the most important things that they find over the last, couple weeks under Sacco. Do you think that identity, though, allows them, and you also talked about them possibly getting hot, would that allow them to make a playoff run? Are they good enough to even do that if they do get hot? If Pasta does start finding the goal and get a little healthier, and other guys start to contribute offensively outside of, Morgan Geekie, who seems to be the only person that can score constantly, and then Swayman kind of continues to get in a rhythm. Is this a team that can make a run?
I don't know. I don't see them as a threat to win a Stanley Cup. There are too many other really good teams out there that I think would make it impossible for them. But they, if they continue to work on this type of game plan, and they do get all those things in order, yeah, they can win a round. Could they win two? Yeah, maybe. There's a lot of crappy teams in the Eastern Conference right now for whatever reason. Pittsburgh can't figure it out. The Islanders can't figure it out. The Rangers can't figure it out. It's a bunch of teams at that end, but there's still New Jersey up top. There's still Florida up top. There's still some teams that can do some, and Washington certainly has improved. So I don't see them as can they win a round? Yes. Can they win two? Probably not, but there's still a trading deadline to look at, and maybe they can pick something up along the way offensively that would help them out, but I don't see them getting to the conference final.
Is there anything they would have to do come postseason to secure Joe Sacco a job long term for the Bruins, or do you think he's qualified to have that position? He's
certainly qualified, and he certainly has established himself with the players as somebody that they can lean on, and with this, I think this right approach to defense first, and make your offense a little bit more simple. There's got to be a believability in his style as a coach for this team, but it's going to be incumbent upon management to find ways to get this team better offensive weapons. Otherwise, they're running in neutral.
Different sport, but you were a head coach for a long time. If you were Gerard Mayo, would you start Drake May on Sunday?
I'd like to think that despite the fact that I was in a very bad position that I might have the courage to keep him out of the play. He's had a couple of whacks in the head.
Yeah.
One kept him out of a game or so, whatever, how long. The other one was, scared me. If you start to have multiple concussions, then you really, you might have a long-term problem. And let's face it, the protection that he's getting is not exactly first class. So if I'm going to play him, and I understand that they want to give him, and this is not exactly your average team here. This is the Buffalo Bills. They're going to come after you, and going to give a big challenge to Drake May. I would hope that I wouldn't, but if I was going to play him, I'd hope I'd get him out of there at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah. All right, Mike. Well, we're getting into the interesting time season-wise when it comes to hockey, and so delighted that we will talk to you every week, and we will talk to you again next week.
Well, I'll be here. I don't know if you'll be on vacation again sometime soon. You seem to go away.
Maybe a day here or there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like I've earned it.
Yep.
But certainly, I'm here for the.
It's hard to be humble when you know you're good, Greg.
For the time being. I mean, you're getting into the dreary days. Well, you probably like them on the Cape when there's nobody around. Like the winter, some people think the winter is the best time on the Cape.
It's certainly more manageable, but it can get a little mentally draining because today's breezy as all get out. Well, I'm sure it is in Boston too, but anyway, it is what it is.
Take up like puzzling, like you seem like a big jigsaw puzzle.
No, my wife does this Wordle stuff all the time. It might as well be in Chinese to me. No thanks. I'm just going to go to the gym, get a sweat.
All right, Mike Milbury. We will talk to you soon. There he is.